artists aren't making albums, they're making TikTok moments. And we've let social media decide what good music is. Agree or disagree? Completely agree with this. I feel like, we can talk a lot about it as far as like attention spans go. That's why we love apps like TikTok because yeah, you can make long segment videos, but a lot of it, can be as little as 5, 10 seconds and kind of remind you of something like Vine. It's just where everybody's attention span kind of lies, mine
Hmm.
included. And, looking at songs, I pay even more attention to it now because, in you do as well.
Hmm.
When we post our short clip, parts of the podcast, we look for audio matches
Hmm.
and sounds to go for the background. And,
Yeah.
it helps with, the algorithm, things like that. But those parts of those songs, 90% of them, I'll be honest, I don't listen to the full song. I listen to that 1 minute or
Yeah.
so that, is allotted for a TikTok clip and or a YouTube short, you name it. And that's what I kind of go off of as far as my
Hmm.
judgment goes. It can be catchy, it can be this and that. But yeah, we're kind of out of the realm of like, artists creating an album that, has a storied background or,
Hmm.
goes a certain way. It just kind of seems like, hey, I'd rather release single after single after single after single. And once I reach 12, then we'll make it an album. And they
Hmm.
have no relation to each other. It's just here you
Yeah.
go, here it is. It's
Yeah.
very rare. Um, Taylor Swift is one that
Hmm.
releases albums still like
Hmm.
that. I think Bruno Mars would probably be considered another.
Yeah.
He released his recent single and tour dates now. He's going to go on a stadium tour as well. Excited for that.
Hmm.
But very few artists do that. And,
Yeah.
it's all based off of that, that short attention span and,
Yeah.
the hook to get somebody into it and what's
Yeah.
catchy. But
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's where we're at because like you mentioned, a lot of us have a short attention span. I think, some of us like to listen to songs a little longer, but what they're focusing on is getting that attention. And then, because once you hear that song, you're gonna go download it because you like that little hook. And then it's sort of,
Mhm.
like I said, that's how they're sort of getting us to like their music, maybe listen to a few other songs. Because one I think about a lot recently is the John Hamm meme. The ooh,
Oh, it's so good.
that's a
Yep.
song I never even heard before. But like I said, but because of that TikTok meme and just meme everybody was using, I think we've used it multiple times for different stuff.
Mhm.
I've downloaded the song, and now, like I say, I'm a consumer of them. But the reason is because of TikTok and them focusing on this small section. And that's what I think a lot of artists are doing. And I think I think it's a smart way to get people to listen to your music. But like I say, it sort of takes away from how they used to release albums, how they used to release music. I honestly think, MTV. I think MTV is officially like dead, right? Haven't they
They they um they've pretty much shut it down.
yeah, it's pretty much shut down, but what I think needs to come back, TRL. Because like I said, that's where new artists would come out, the top songs, top music videos, because that time back in our days, and like I say, all these youngsters are going to be like, what are these unks talking about? But man, when TRL was out there, man, the music, you listen to so many songs, you like the music video, and you vibe to it. A lot of the songs you vibe to. So I think there has to be a company, Paramount, Netflix, whatever, to start like a TRL thing and bring the songs back. Bring back the music videos because. I think if you do it right, it's gonna take off and you're gonna be ahead of the game.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I kind of take back what I said because I am guilty about I do go whatever clip is with the song. I'll go back and listen to that song in
Mhm.
full. But my thing is I don't click on the album and
Yeah.
look through and start
Oh yeah.
listening
Mhm.
to the album top to bottom.
Yeah.
Because Lil Uzi Vert, I'm sure you've heard it in a recent,
Yeah.
a couple of our shorts. The new release of What You Saying, it's been really big with
Mhm.
Indiana and
Mhm.
Francisco Mendoza. He's been, Lil
Yeah.
Uzi
Oh
Vert
yeah.
invited him to the game. Um, and it's a super catchy song.
Hmm.
And I listened to it over this past weekend. I think it's great.
Hmm.
It's it's got a good upbeat, and it's different.
Hmm.
But yeah, and you brought it up. Like, I think the hit with the John Hamm meme, that EDM song, I think the artist said it's been out like 5 years now, 10
Hmm.
years. Like, it's been out a while.
Yeah.
And and he's like, yeah, randomly here it is. And then, hey, we're introduced to him and who he
Yeah.
is. And it's pretty cool. And I'm
Hmm.
I'm sure he's loving, just
Yeah.
the, I guess his song getting the rightful,
Hmm.
amount of attention it deserves, because it's a great song.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all it takes is, hey, 10 seconds of John Hamm going, ooh, and that's it. You'll hit it off. And then, even in the show that John Hamm's in, that's not even the song that is associated with that. So
No.
that's kind of funny too. But
Yeah.
it's so much more fitting than whatever they could have put on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you hit something right on the dot that probably not many people think, but artists probably do. Where you said that artists are just putting out one single after another, and it's sort of they're testing it on TikTok because it's like if it doesn't blow up on TikTok, they pretty much take it off of TikTok and put out the other one, and then like you say, once they get like 10 good songs, or even like all you need is what, six hits,
Mhm.
and then you can put out a 12, 12 song album, CD,
Mhm.
whatever you call them nowadays. And it's like everybody's going to listen to all 12 songs. They know six that they like because it's been on TikTok, it's been trending. The other six, if they hit, they hit. But if they don't hit, well, we still got people to purchase this album, listen to the music, and it's bringing that money. So it is a good way of thinking of this is what some artists might be doing.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly right. And a quick follow-up question for you, John. Do you feel like a lot of that has to do with us not using CDs anymore?
I think so. I think it's through streaming because I think a lot of people use Spotify. I use Apple Music. Like I said, not trying to plug Apple Music, but I use Apple Music.
Same.
And I download albums, I download songs, I create my playlists. Um, but it's a little different now compared to when it was just CDs and without the iPods, that you had all your music and sort of just picked your songs. Because, like I said, when you had a CD, it's like you have to listen to all of it. You could skip, but it's like you had to buy it physically. Where now you could just buy one song for $1.99, or you get a subscription for Apple Music, Spotify, and you listen to the songs that you want. So
Hmm.
how artists get paid for that, I haven't really looked into it, so I'm curious if it's good for them, bad for them, if they still want people to buy CDs, records, things like that.
I have low key recently like thought about buying a record player. I just think it's like a cool touch to have in a house.
Yeah.
And then you throw something on, and then it's just playing in the
Hmm.
background of what's going on. But it's also cool with, like, whatever cover is on it. It could
Hmm.
be old, it could be new. Like, the way records look and like the
Yeah.
packaging they're in, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty cool. And it's kind of a cool little collector's item to have.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings it back because, again, like you and I, we grew up with cassettes to
Hmm.
CD-ROMs, and
Yeah.
burning
CDs.
CDs, the Unk Talk.
Yeah.
Because now it's just, it's so readily available. And then that turned into, your iPod, and you'd have to literally, hook your iPod up to a computer to download that music onto your iPod.
Yeah.
And you would have to, like, because of, of course, storage space isn't what it is
Hmm.
today either. You're looking for what song, so you're having to listen to an album in order to
Yeah.
choose what mix you want. Nowadays, you don't have to do any of that. Like you said, you
Yeah.
buy a subscription. I have a subscription. So it's like, I don't have to listen to an album to figure out
Hmm.
what song I like. It's just,
Yeah.
hey, I heard this one before. I'm gonna throw it on. And that's
Yeah.
just how it is. Or I put it on, a pre-made mix,
Yeah.
pop hits or whatever,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
go from there. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's tailing away from the album lifestyle, and it's all based
Mhm.
off of singles.
Yeah, yeah. Like we have a record player. Vera has it. I say it's more hers because
Nice.
she buys it. It's mostly her record she has. I'll throw in a few, or I'll suggest a few things to her.
Mhm.
But it's a really cool thing to have a good aesthetic to have in the house, and especially if you get a nice speaker connected to it. Great
Mhm.
music. The one thing with records, they are pricey, especially some
Yeah.
big albums, like popular albums. They're like 40 to $50, and but what's cool, it's like some of the records, I think because it's making somewhat of a comeback, they're making them like they're special editions, you know. You go to Target, they have like three different special editions, and it's like, oh, which one do you want, or do you buy all three, you know? So they're hooking you in some way. Um, but yeah, I remember the burning CD. I was gonna say, man, like this topic a little bit is just making us feel old because I,
LimeWire.
yeah, LimeWire. But I remember like when I would burn CDs, like I would write all the songs I had on it, you know, because I wanted to know like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the CD I want to hear. Because like the one issue, like I enjoy Apple Music, but the one thing I hate sometimes is like there's days I just want certain music, and I'm like. I truly have like 40 different playlists that I'm updating every month. I just decided to make a new playlist every now and then with I want these 10 songs, and then I add random ones, and then I'm like, I'm done with this one. I got to create a new one. And it's a cycle like I probably have to stop because it's just so many playlists, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But hey, the amount of time you take to update it
Yeah.
gets you listening to other music or, reminiscing on songs that, are from the past.
Yeah.
I quickly looked up here because it also made me think of Stranger Things with the vinyl player,
Yeah.
the record player. And I asked ChatGPT, shout out ChatGPT, we love you. Don't turn against us when you take over the
Yeah.
world. I said, our record players sales up in 2026? It says yes. Sales and the broader vinyl trend are up. And a lot of people, because I've seen videos on this recently,
Hmm.
people like going into those, I don't know, those music shops. And it's almost like you're thrifting for
Hmm.
for old vinyl. And
Yeah.
people love doing that. And it's just like it's used, the
Hmm.
history behind it, hard to find. It's
Yeah.
almost like collecting comic books, cards, you name
Yeah.
it, people collect vinyl. Um, it's just different, it's cool.
Yeah.
Do you ever just use it like a little scratch the mixtape thing?
I don't do it because like I say it's Vera's. Yeah, I don't want to mess it up because if I mess it up, I gotta pay for it. So I'm like I'll
Yeah.
pass.
Put on a
But
pair of meta glasses and try it. See what happens.
maybe I can see what happens.
Get the chancla.
Yeah, yeah, but no, like I say, I think records are coming back, and like I say, hopefully we start seeing albums again because like I say, I think it's what I enjoyed. It's sort of what got us into music. But I also know the TikTok moments, it's not going to change anytime soon because I think people are benefiting from it. Artists are benefiting from it. And like I said, it's also helpful for the indie artists, the non-label artists. If they put out a banger, that's how they get signed. So, you know, it's a new YouTube, you know, where like Justin Bieber was found on YouTube. This is
Mhm.
how record companies find new artists.
Absolutely. I agree. Hey, and also listeners, anybody listen to this particular segment, if you have a SoundCloud, drop your SoundCloud
Yeah,
account below and we'll
yeah,
give it a listen as well.
yeah, for sure.